Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So still on the newlywed series, we're going to be talking about something different today. So before we dive into the video, if this is the first time of you seeing my face, my name is Cynthia and we talk more of destination and lifestyle. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the things you should discuss with your spouse, with your partner before you get married. Now, first thing you guys are meant to talk about is your finance. Who is earning more? Now, if the person that is earning more is in a different city, will you be relocating to that person or you continue working where you're working? Now, this is a situation whereby you and your spouse, they are in different locations. If you're in a different place and you're earning more, should your spouse relocate and come to you, or will you quit your job and move over to stay with your partner? So these are things you people need to discuss about who is earning more, who is moving to who is living with who, that kind of thing. If you already have a place, a more comfortable place than your spouse, are you going to be moving to your spouse's place, or is he going to leave his own place and move into your place? These are things you people need to actually sit down and talk about. Don't say after marriage you'll figure it out. It's going to cause a huge problem. The second thing you're going to be talking about is businesses, career goals, further studies. That is if you people want to further your studies before kids, or you guys want to just stop where you are and just hustle life. These are things you need to talk about. What are the goals? What business can we start? How can we broaden our income? How can we have multiple incomes? That kind of thing. Because if you don't talk about these things, you might run into a little problem. Because another thing you have to understand about marriage is that income is not stagnant. It moves. It could be you earning more today, tomorrow is your husband that is earning more. It's up to you guys to just talk about it. You know, should we invest in this? Should we have a joint account? That kind of thing. You guys need to talk about all these things. You need to think about your spouse's goal. Where do they want to be in the next how many years, so that they don't feel trapped. So that at the end of the day, don't say, oh, if I didn't marry you, I would have been where I should have been here. Talk about these things and know what their plans are, what your own plans are. You people have to do your plus and minus and find a way to compromise and make the family and the marriage work. So the next thing you and your spouse and your partner should talk about is kids. Now, what people don't understand is a decision that both of you need to take together, whether you want to have kids or you don't want to have kids. Some couples, they are pressured into wanting kids because, oh, my parents want kids, or my parents want grandchildren, or it's a decision that both of you have to make as a unit. Do we really want kids? And if yes, how many kids do we really want to have? Because your husband is the only child does not mean you should litter the whole place with children. You should have a reasonable understanding about why you guys want kids, how many kids you guys really want to have, and also have the conscious knowledge of birth control and family planning. So you guys have to talk about this and discuss it in depthly before you get married. If you want 2 kids and he wants 3 kids, you have to come to a place of compromise. Either both of you settle for 3 kids or both of you settle for 2 kids. And at the end of the day, during the journey, you might eventually say 1 is enough, let us do what we can handle. Because sometimes your finances might not be able to actually support the number of kids that both of you might want to have. And in a situation that both of you don't want kids, don't feel pressured by the society to want kids. You can adopt kids if that's what is okay by you. You can seek for other options of having kids, but don't feel that you should be pressured to have babies if you're not ready or if you don't want to. Now, the next thing you and your spouse should talk about is home chores. Who should do what in the house? If you're married to a traditional or a typical man that feels like, okay, his place is to provide and your place is to take care of the family, and you're okay with it, good and fine. If you're the Gen Z woman that wants, okay, if you're working and working, if you come home early, you clean the house or you cook, that kind of family parole, you guys should also talk about it. Don't expect that if you're having a Gen Z mentality, or if you're having the mindset of a Generation Z and your husband is having the mindset of the olden days mentality, both of you cannot have this understanding. That both of you are thinking it separately does not mean you understand it. Communicate, talk about it. Come to a place of, okay honey, if I come home and I'm tired and you came home earlier, please prepare meal. If you come home and that, that kind of understanding, this is something you have to discuss with your spouse. Don't expect that, oh, because she's the woman. She has to work, come home, clean the house, she has to cook, she has to, and my own place is just to go to work and provide for the family. No, you people need to talk about it. Who is doing what? How are we running this family? And another thing, a big mistake, another huge mistake couples make is, this is not the way it is done in my house. This is not the way it is done in my house. If you wanted to do it the way it was done in your house, you should have as well married your brother or your sister. So because you guys are coming from two different backgrounds, you need to sit down and talk about things. Forget how it is done in your house and come together to create a new way it should be done with the both of you, because this is a huge new step. This is a new family, a new unit. Don't do it the way you were trained, the way it was done in your house, because that is the way your parents learned together to train both of you. So you and your partner have to come together to talk about it, to create a new way you want to use to train your own children. And when they grow and get married, they will still find out a way that works for them and their spouse. Now, still on chores or who should do what, you should also talk about if you people want to get help. And even if you want to get help, what kind of help are we getting? In some cases, the lady will be like, okay, we're not getting a young help. In some cases, the man will be like, we're not getting a little girl. In some cases, they will be like, we need to get an elderly woman. You need to talk about it. If you want to get help, what kind of help are you getting? You know, you have to talk about these things. If you don't talk about it, it might end up becoming a problem after you get married. You'll be like, oh, why would we get help? Can't you do this thing? Is it not easy? Does it take? So you have to talk about it, honey. If we get married and this gets to this point, we have to get a help. And if we're getting a help, we're getting a young boy, we're getting a young girl, we're getting an elderly woman, you just have to talk about it. So these are things people don't talk about before they get married, but you should talk about it before you get married. Now, another thing you guys need to also talk about is in-law boundaries. You need to talk about the boundaries. Okay, this is where this should stop. I can tolerate up to this point. That also moves on to talk about the triggers. What triggers the both of you? When you're doing this, don't do this. When you're doing this, don't do this. So you have to set boundaries, especially personal boundaries for the both of you that you respect, personal boundaries for your various families and the in-laws, as the case may be. So don't bring in problems from outside into your own family in the name of you're trying to protect them. This is your own family. You have to fix it the way you want it to be. Forget how it was done before. Forget how you were taught how to do it. Just figure it out, because both of you are coming from separate backgrounds, so you have to find a common ground and let things work out for the both of you. So most times in marriages that end in divorce, these are problems that they end up facing because this is how it is done here, this is how it is done there, and when both of you cannot come together to agree on how it should be done with the both of you, you find that they end up not tolerating each other, they end up not communicating, and eventually ends in a divorce. So talk about the boundaries that your various families should keep. Talk about what triggers the both of you, and when you respect that, you find out that there is a way that both of you will just live amicably, live in understanding, live in constant communication, and there will be peace. The most important thing, this one should have been number one, the most important thing that you and your spouse should talk about before marriage is your health status. What's your blood group? What's your genotype? Don't say you're AA and you're O plus or O negative, you're a spec and you're this. No. There is a way that you as a spec can be a problem in terms of your blood group or your genotype. I'll leave that to the medical experts to explain. Even as an AA, you can also be the problem in the marriage if you marry wrong. So find out what your blood group, your genotypes are. Find out if you're compatible so that you will not end up giving birth to children that will end up being sick for the rest of their lives. Do not put those children into those situations that they do not ask for because you're in love with your partner or you're in love with your spouse. If it's not compatible, please don't get married, because it's going to be more problematic in the future. Unless both of you have decided not to have kids. If both of you have decided not to have kids, okay, fine, you can go ahead and get married. It doesn't affect the both of you. But if you have plans of having kids and the genotype or the blood group, they're not compatible, please don't get married. Now, the next thing you need to talk about is place of worship. There are cases that you can find a Christian and a Muslim, they want to get married. Now, the situation that you have to talk about is, am I switching to Islam or am I switching to Christianity? Both of you have to come to an agreement. Or will you still continue your worship and I'll continue my worship? You have to agree to that. Now, even in some cases where you find people from the same religion, because of the denomination, because of we are not worshiping in the same denomination, it's still a problem. So if you're not worshiping in this Orthodox church, or you're not worshiping in Catholic, or you're not worshiping, you cannot get married. It becomes a problem. But it's the same religion, but different denomination. So you have to talk about this. How are we doing it? Are you switching to my church, or am I switching to your church? Are you switching to my religion, or am I switching to your religion? Or are we maintaining our religion and just living as one family? So you have to talk about it. Now, there's something that couples do that they don't know that is wrong. Religion may form a foundation in your marriage, but it's not what your marriage is about. So some people just capitalize on religion and they make certain decisions that affect their marriage, and they end up quitting because they feel that the religion is not supporting the marriage. I don't even understand a situation whereby you say because you're not a so and so person, I cannot marry you, or because you're so and so person, you're affecting me, that kind of thing. So religion can form the foundation of your marriage, but it's not what your marriage is about. You still have to work on your marriage as an individual, with emotion, with blood flowing through your stream. Don't use religion as a camouflage to the problems that will be created in your marriage. Now, the last one I have on my list that you have to discuss with your partner is name change. So that you're getting married to your partner doesn't mean you have to change your name. In some situations, you can still keep your maiden name and you guys can still get married. It happens in so many places. So I know in the African community they'll be like, oh, it's compulsory that when a woman gets married, takes the husband's name. It's fine, it's okay, but then it's still a decision that you have to take, or you and your partner have to take together. Do I change my name? Is it okay if I keep my name? That kind of thing. So this is a decision that people have to make. In some cases, some documents you haven't expired, so you have to keep your maiden name for a while till you're ready to change that document. Then you have to change to your husband's name, you know, that kind of thing. And there's some countries that get married and they take up the wife's name. So you have to talk about these things. You know, you have to talk about how we're gonna do it, how it's gonna work for us. Please, as a couple, take decisions together. Don't do it because it's how it was done in your house. Don't do it because it's how you were raised. Don't do it because it's how you were taught. This is now a new class, a new school. Both of you have to learn together. Both of you have to unlearn some things. You have to talk about some things. Please talk with your partner, communicate, talk, discuss. It's a place of talking. You have to talk. You cannot run away from it. You people have to talk. So just find a way to make it work. Don't, because maybe your friend is doing it this way, is working out for them, or maybe this Instagram influencer is living up this way, it has to work for you. No, figure out how it's working for you. The way it's working for A is not the way it's gonna work for you. So talk with your partner, find out what's okay for the both of you. Don't take decisions because it is you, it is affecting you. Even if it's affecting you, you have to discuss with your partner, because both of you now are a unit. So that's about it. I just said let me bring this to you so that you can, you know these things that you need to talk with your partner, discuss with your partner. Please pay attention to the health status, so that you know that if both of you are compatible in case you want to have babies, so you don't end up getting into perpetual pain all through your life because you made a mistake. Find out your blood group, find out your genotype. Don't say in secondary school it was like this, when I was in primary school it was this. Go to the hospital, run a test. It doesn't cost anything, it doesn't take long. Go to the hospital, run a test, find out genuinely what is your blood group and your genotype, and your partners as well. Find out if you're compatible before you can get married. And even when you find out all these things, find out if you're a carrier in your blood group. Find out if you're a carrier, so that you don't run into problems of conceiving and all that kind of problems. So just get these things known, like know these things before you get married. Some things that people go through in marriages because they didn't find out some things before they got married, and at the end of the day they are attributed to witches and wizards. So please find out all these things before you get married. Talk about these things before you get married. Let me know what you think in the comment sections. If there's anyone I didn't mention that you have to talk with your spouse, or you talked with your spouse before you got married, let me know in the comment section and we can discuss about it. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share this video with your friends, and hit the bell button for notifications whenever I upload a video. So till I come your way again with another video, peace.